Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where people ask questions, get advice, and we get satisfaction. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, How to Find Out If a Debt Collector is Real. I will try and make this short, throwaway account because I'm going to post a little more info than I normally would. First of all, let me start off with, I monitor my credit like a hawk. I made one spending error 2 years ago, put a bill in my name but let roommate pay it, which they never did. And have been very careful ever since. Paid that off before it went to collections, though. I have pretty frickin' awesome credit. For being 26 and working a dead-end job, I am doing pretty awesome. No school loans, just went to community college and had financial aid and paid for the rest on my own. Also, I have one car loan ever and it has always been up to date and paid on time. About a year ago, I got a call from some guy yelling in the voicemail. You cannot really understand all what he is saying. You can understand
personal business matter. Our lawyers would like to speak with you.
Never gave me a company name or a number and never addressed me by name, so I never called back, just ignored it. Back in November he called back, I answered. He claims I had a credit card through super large American bank, I'm sure you can figure out which one, clear back in 2007. Says,
you made payments on it all along and then you just quit back in April.
I ask him for information to prove that I am in fact the right person. He spews out almost all my private info, tells me I'm going to end up with a judgment if I don't pay it off, and a bunch of nonsense that I don't all remember because he really had me upset. At one point, he screamed at me to check my credit report and it would show this card. I told him that I would look at things on my end, ask for an emailing address, but he won't give me one. All he will tell me is that he's with West & Associates out of Irvine, CA. Shaking afterwards, I log on to check my credit reports and lo and behold, he's wrong. No credit cards ever opened in my name and nothing derogatory on my reports. All three of them are showing exactly the same thing, my car loan. So I mailed them a letter requesting validation and then one requesting that they do not call me again and only contact me via mail. A week later I get a reply saying that they are going to take me to court if I don't settle. I resent the same thing I sent before, certified return receipt. Did a little research and cannot find anything on them, no websites. I can find a bunch of people saying they got similar calls but cannot verify if the company is legit, and a couple people who said they are legit and paid them. A week later, maybe two, I get a letter in the mail from them that does not validate the debt, just says that I owe money on a credit card opened with Bank of XX. That is seriously all they included. I sent them one more request for validation specifying that I was requesting validation, not verification, again certified RR. I've been getting calls from them once a week since December and they will not stop hounding me even though I have told them on the phone I have recording, and yes, I did let them know that I was recording and via mail on more than one occasion. Now they are calling my SO, who is in no way connected with me. We don't live together and don't share any bills or anything. They called my mom's first husband from the 70s. She got married far too young and it only lasted 2 years, looking for me, and now they are calling my mom and half brother. I contacted a lawyer who told me that before I get any legal assistance to find out if they are a real company and if they are allowed to collect in WA state. My question for all of you is, how do I find out if they are legit? How do I find out if they are allowed to collect in VA? If they are not allowed to collect in my state / are not legit, how do I get them to stop hounding myself and people I know? Keep in mind, they won't share any of this information with me over the phone. It is getting really old and I am tired of them harassing me. Help please. Edit, I forgot to include, I sent the first letter to the only address I could find for them online and it appears to be correct. But Google Maps pulls up a strip mall in California. It is the same address they are sending letters from now. And a user in the comments said, after a quick search I found out that there is a company called West & Associates in Irvine, California, but they are no debt collecting nor a legal company. Having looked a little bit further, and it seems like these people are trying to scare you into paying. Next time they contact you, just tell them to take you to court to prove that you owe the debt or you will not pay. And guys, if you had to deal with these seemingly scammy debt collectors, what would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Would you just wait for them to take you to court, if they even do it at all, or would you react in some way? Let us know in the comments. And the next one is an update to the debt collector story. It has been about a month since I posted the first post and I've been waiting for some things to finish up before posting again. This will most likely be the only update, as it seems to have been solved. After my last post, I did some more research and even hired a lawyer. One comment said that this company was in fact real, so I figured the best thing to do was to lawyer up. Calls kept coming. I also reported them to the CFPB. Lawyer did some research on her end and we were prepared to sue the company. Turns out the commenter that said that they were a legit company either was confused or had no idea what they were talking about, because they are not. I got a phone call while at my lawyer's office one afternoon, so she answered it. As soon as they heard she was a lawyer, they hung up and I have not heard from them since, with the exception of their reply to my complaint via CFPB. The complaint to CFPB is still in process. They keep arguing back and forth, saying that I am a liar despite all the evidence, recordings, screenshots and voicemails. I may update if anything comes of this complaint. Thanks for all the help and comments, I really appreciate it. Sorry for the dull update, but everything is pretty much died down now. For now, and hopefully for good. And a user in the comments also noted, I never thought that maybe I am being scammed by fake collection agencies. I have one false stat from CenturyLink that 3 agencies are trying to collect on. I cannot fight all 3 of them. I will research all 3 and see if they are legit. I just refuse to believe a company would waste so much money on trying to collect a small sum, $144, much less send my file to 3 legit agencies. And guys, I would like to know, did you ever have any real-life experience with something like this? Let us know in the comments, and while you're at it, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support me. Thank you so much in advance, all your help is very much appreciated. And the next one is another update to the debt collector story. Well, the CFPB was zero help and the company after my final dispute wrote back stating that they believed that I was mistaken. Ha, figures. I have been getting calls still and have done everything I can to communicate that they need to contact my lawyer. When she calls, they hang up on her, so there is that. The few times she has been able to answer their calls, they hang up. It is a case of harassment now, but there's no one to pin down. Sadly, not an exciting update, but that's all. I've blocked all their numbers and they call from new ones. Cannot sue them because they are not legit, despite the one person who swore they were. And unfortunately guys, that is how the debt collector story ends, so in the end obviously the company was not legit, but apparently they kept continuing to harass the OP. And the next one is a classic HOA story and it is titled Discrepancy from HOA Board and HOA Document Concerning Fence Construction. The location is Michigan. My fiance and I just closed on a new home and are currently working with our HOA board on putting up a fence on our property. Our lot is an irregular shaped lot on a cul-de-sac. Where the lot happens to be much wider than it is deep, the following restrictions are laid out in the HOA bylaws. Fences. No co-owner shall construct or cause to be constructed any fence of any nature upon a unit or the common elements without prior written approval of the developer or the association as set forth below in section 3. The lineal footage of ornamental or decorative fences shall not exceed 40% of the unit's perimeter, shall not be located within the front setback, and shall not exceed 5 feet in height, except around swimming pools. Fences shall be used primarily for enclosure purposes. Fences erected shall receive advance written approval of the association as to size, location, and fencing materials. All fencing and or screening shall be made of materials which are architecturally compatible with the main residence and designed in such a manner as to be aesthetically harmonious to the condominium as a whole, specifically excluding cyclone fencing, snow fencing and plywood. I can post the text of section 3 as well, but it is basically just talking about the developer being able to construct anything that they would like. The plan we are proposing meets the following requirements that I could glean from the bylaws. Less than 40% of perimeter, not located within the front setback, no more than 5 feet tall. We also fit the aesthetics portion of the requirement, as the fence we are planning for is a black aluminum decorative fence. However, in our email exchange with our HOA board, it seems that they have another requirement that is not in the documents. That the fence be located behind the house. Our proposal was to build the fence off of the side of the house and wrap around behind the house, as our lot is so shallow. That seems to be the sticking point, that the fence not come off of the side of the house. This rule seems to have been followed to vacillating degrees throughout the history of the HOA. TLDR, for the people who have not understood the post, we are proposing a fence that meets all of our HOA's restrictions, but are being told about an additional rule that apparently exists that would drastically change how much usable space we would get out of a fence. We feel that since this requirement is not laid out in the HOA documents, that we are in the right. However, I just wanted to know if, because they have enforced this rule in the past, if a precedent has been set, even if it has not been written down into the bylaws. And a user in the comments said, usually within HOA bylaws like this, there is language that defines that the HOA board has the final determination on the interpretation of their rules. You may be able to successfully be able to challenge them on this at some financial cost and the potential ire of your new neighbors. Guys, remember, by the way, the golden rule: never get a home in an HOA managed area. We have read enough stories by now to know that the HOA can be like a dictatorship, so I would definitely not take my chances. Even though, of course, there are some good people in every HOA. And this one will be an update to the HOA story. First of all, thank you so much everyone for all of your advice in the previous post. I will try to keep the update brief but informative. I sent the HOA an email pointing out that a few other houses in the neighborhood had fences that extended from the side of their house, similar to what we were proposing. The president of the HOA responded saying,
"Those houses are in violation."
When I asked specifically what part of the bylaws this fence violated, he was unable to produce an answer, but basically he said,
"We can approve or deny anything we like."
I wrote him an email where the gist of it was, look, we are excited to live in this neighborhood, but we don't really appreciate the fact that the board can approve or disapprove things like this seemingly on a whim. To which I got the beautiful reply of,
"Demonizing us will not further your cause."
It was at this point that we stopped communicating with the board and contacted a lawyer. We forwarded him the emails, sent him the bylaws and our proposal. He informed us that we definitely had a case and that in our county, judges do tend to lean more in favor of the homeowner in these disputes, but that if the HOA decided to challenge us, it could be a drawn-out battle. Our lawyer said that he would draft a letter for us for the HOA, basically saying, let my clients build their fence because it meets your bylaws. We told him, do not send this letter directly to the HOA, we will present it to them if things go south at the board meeting. He agrees and sends it to me via email. Fast forward to the board meeting last night, the president, don't demonize us guy, who actually turned out to be very nice in person, proposes his own plan for his backyard renovation that includes a fence that extends from the side of his house. The board votes and approves, although there's some heated discussion about fences and aesthetics of the fence coming off of the side of the house. Our whole point. The president says,
"Well, as was pointed out to me recently in a letter from a lawyer,"
looks at me and my fiancé and says,
"You did not have to do that, by the way,"
and continues his point to the board. Turns out our lawyer went ahead and sent them the letter anyway. Cue my face turning red out of embarrassment/anger. The agenda turns to our fence proposal. There is some discussion about aesthetics. Your neighbors have complained that the fence is too industrial looking, but ultimately all 4 board members approved the plan as we originally proposed it. As we are leaving, the president says,
I don't want you to think that we just approved your plan because you had a lawyer and sent us a letter.
To which we apologized and said that that was not our intention. And the next one is titled, In Serious Legal Trouble, 4 Major Felonies. I am located in Johnson County, North Carolina. There are 4 felonies myself and my roommate have been charged with. I requested and have been appointed an attorney by the court this morning at my first appearance. The charges are PWIMSD, a Schedule 6, MJ, PWIMSD, a Schedule 4, mushrooms, manufacturing a Schedule 6, MJ, and maintaining a dwelling. I did not speak to the police when arrested and expressed that I would like an attorney present. Essentially what I am posting for is to simply gauge what the best case scenario could be as well as the worst case scenario. At my first appearance this morning, the judge simply asked, "You do realize these are serious felony charges and you may be facing years of prison, right?" I replied, "Yes." So, like I said, I'm just curious what the best and worst outcome could be. I have no prior record, have a good job, and I am a 24-year-old white male. There was substantial evidence found in our home, which both of us are renting, and I am a co-defendant with my roommate. I have been advised by a friend that it may be best to request we be tried separately, since he has a record, no real character witnesses, cannot trace his money, has a sketchy job and was in a vehicular accident with growing equipment in the vehicle, which led to the search warrant for our home. Is it wise to make this type of request? Would it help me or hurt me in any way? Any input on this from anyone in any shape or form would be greatly appreciated. I am fully prepared to spend years in prison, unfortunately, but I would just like to hear what others, hopefully those with legal knowledge and experience, have to say. Thank you so much. Edit: the paperwork for the charges says 12 or more plants, tiny seedlings, 4 grams of MJ, and an unknown amount of mushrooms, in case that helps. And a user in the comments gave a very good comment. I'm going to be straight with you because I know from first-hand experience. Prepare to be confused, stressed, and go through so many emotions that you are wanting to explode. Prepare for the loss of your job. I am really sorry, but it is a possibility you should prepare for. Do the best thing and be very frugal from here until the conclusion of your case. Every penny counts from this day on. Your first offense is often lenient and North Carolina is in the processes of voting on decriminalization, but don't count on that as your only hope. Do not admit to anything from this point on unless it is to your lawyer. Get your own lawyer if you can. Do not waive your arraignment. At your second arraignment you have the right to be advised on the risks of being a co-defendant and you have the right to request separate counsel. Try and find a private lawyer if you can swing it, get a criminal defense lawyer and nothing else. Most likely you will be given a plea deal that includes a deferred sentence, community service, probation and fines. The fines may be from a few hundreds to a few thousand, but you must pay them off before the end of your probation. If you can prove you did not give consent to a search of your apartment, assuming it was a warrantless search, then you may have protection of private areas, but as common areas are searchable with one-part consent, I doubt it will help. In short, you will most likely be consolidated to a single felony, face probation and fines. Do not under any circumstances partake during probation because a positive test is an instant sentence. The best advice is get a criminal defense lawyer because public defenders are so overbooked thanks to our effed up justice system that they are going to try and greet and plead you as quick as possible. By the way guys, I'm pretty curious, what is your opinion about people going to prison in 2020 for drug related offenses, especially when the drug itself is weed? I gotta say, I'm definitely not an advocate for drugs, but I can also see that lives are getting destroyed because people go to prison for relatively small offenses. Though I would say the guy in the story did not really do a small offense, it was definitely a bigger one. Update after nearly 2 years to the previous story about the felonies. I'm going to try to make this as short as I can, but it is probably going to be lengthy. I'm posting this as an update to hear any opinions, and so there is info in this sub regarding this if anyone were to search for something similar. The original is here. Well, this first happened quite some time ago, but we were indicted and went through a number of appearances that were just continuances and whatnot. Our lawyers felt the best and basically only option was to attempt a motion to suppress the evidence. They felt that what was in the car, growing equipment, was not enough to establish a nexus for probable cause to search our home, since it was just stuff that anyone could buy at a horticulture store. Well, the judge denied the motion. When the judge denied the motion, the ADA offered us a plea bargain where they would throw out everything except one felony count of manufacturing MJ, and the sentence would be 18 months of probation. We accepted this, but reserved our right to appeal. So we began the appeals process. The appeals circuit judges have affirmed the denial of the motion to suppress with no dissent amongst them. They feel that the magistrate who signed the warrant was correct in doing so because he made a common sense decision given all circumstances set forth in the probable cause affidavit. The affidavit says that when the officer approached the car, he smelled a strong odor of MJ coming from the car, one of those great little police lies that can be neither proven nor disproven, which he slipped in there to justify things and make everything mesh, and noticed growing supplies inside the car. After searching the car, they also found a small tin with MJ residue in it, no actual substantial MJ, just something that had some in it at one time. So because of these things, in addition to the statement that he said he was going home, when the officer asked where he was headed, they felt that there was indeed probable cause to search the house. So I guess the last option is to appeal to the Supreme Court. I really feel like I'm just wasting my money at this point, but I also feel that if I don't try to do everything I possibly can, I will regret it forever. I will always wonder, what if I had continued and it actually got overturned? My lawyer said that there was a similar case that the appeals circuit released their opinion on recently, but I really don't think citing that case is going to help anything. I'm pretty sure that any judge who reads everything is going to agree with what has been previously decided, mostly because of the officer claiming to smell MJ in the car. If he had not made that claim, then the equipment in the car, which was all new, not used, not the source of an odor, would be able to be linked to drugs in any way, and everything could be viewed differently. As it is though, the stuff has the drug stigma about it because of this vague accusation of a MJ smell in the car, and justifies the assumption that it was for growing weed. Thanks to everyone who posted here originally. Honestly, dealing with this has been tough. It is hard to deal with the fact that I am a felon and I have to serve probation in the future when this wraps up. I know that it is my own fault, but that does not change how much it sucks. I've never had great self-confidence or self-worth in general, and facing this really has not helped. I feel like my life is going nowhere now, and it's going to be tough for me to do anything of any significance with my life. Anyways, thanks for reading. If you made it this far, take care. And guys, unfortunately, we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.